The first time I remember hearing music, it's probably my dad singing in the shower. That's as far back as I can remember. Well, my dad was a pastor, so it was more than likely a gospel song. That memory really sticks with me. I think early on, it was just about discovery. And so I just started picking up instruments. I convinced my parents that I could teach myself how to play piano at 5. And somehow it worked. They came downstairs one time and Stevie Wonder had been playing on the radio. And I sat down at the piano and played it back verbatim. And my mom goes, okay, maybe he can teach himself. And my dad was self-taught like me. There's a beauty in not having all the answers. Now we're getting into TV and film, and I see how my work is being used in that space. I get that same feeling that I had as a child when I was able to play back that Stevie Wonder song. It's the same thing I feel now when I hear Beyonce sing my record. It's really not having all the answers. That keeps you wanting to discover. There's only so many notes we can use, but what you use in between those spaces is what makes it magical. Classical musicians and artists that inspire me: Bach, Brahms, Mozart, Moses Hogan. I'm from the southwest side of Atlanta, Georgia, which, if you just look at it on a map, there's not many spaces on that side of Atlanta where you can encounter classical music. We're like headed toward the airport where there's nothing classical happening in that space. It's a predominantly Black space and there isn't a lot of classical music. But my first foray into it was opening a hymnal at church and realizing that these songs existed many, many decades before recording happened. And so I had to redefine my definition of classical music for the first 18 years of my life. Eric Whitacre, I mean, I'm constantly inspired by him. When I opened Eric's stuff, I was like, oh, I can relate. To be able to relate to something that you didn't have access to at first is a big discovery point. And that's like, for young people, that's why I would tell them to dive into classical music. It's a new entry point into chords. It's a new entry point into progressions. That you wouldn't normally hear in modern music, and that stuff can be used. It opened up a portal for me, man. Baby, I won't forget this time around when you held me down. On Be Alive for B, I wanted to make sure that the opening of it felt like a classical piece of choral music. And so there's a lot of seconds and, like clashing chords in the sections on purpose, because that's what I was hearing when I was learning this type of music for the first time. That's why I would tell kids, like, if you get an opportunity to train in the classical space, do it. I am in service to the music, no matter where I am, who I'm with. The music has to speak to us first. The music has to get the room excited. At the end of the day, it has to make us want to know something that we didn't know before.
Become the freak you wanna be. If you can't afford you, I'ma pay the fee. It's the life and it's your destiny.
Music changed my life. It has saved my life on many occasions. And so I don't go into it thinking, all right, how can I impress someone? If I'm looking to impress anyone, it's the listener, and it's to inspire them, and it's to encourage them in a lot of ways, that you can like take these things that are in your mind and turn them into exactly what you want them to be. When I come here, this space is sacred. And I think that's why the artists that work with me and the producers and writers that work with me, they love coming in the room, because when you walk in, you know that it's not a high pressure, high stakes situation. We're all actually bowing down to the music. I've seen music create a space of empathy, and that is like far more important than the thing that we're creating. It's how do we communicate with each other? And I think music is just the entryway, right? To be able to have dialogue about our belief systems, about our hangups, about the things that we don't necessarily agree on, but we can agree that we all love this art form. And I think it's an open door, or is constantly welcoming people into a space where we can be ourselves and learn about each other. And then, if we get a beautiful song out of it, that's a plus. We love this art form. Everybody is here because we love it. And so I take that with me everywhere I go. I know that people recognize me as a musician, but when they leave my space, I think they recognize me as a human.